thank you, Karla and Abby, for talking with me today. I really appreciate it.
It's our pleasure to be here with you. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Could I ask each of you to start by just giving a brief biographical sketch of yourself, a little bit about your own background, musically and otherwise?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am, I guess, to start from the beginning, I'm come from a very musical family, like Karla does. And I'm actually the youngest of four children of musician parents. My parents were both music educators, now retired. And all of my siblings are professional musicians. Three of us play violin, one plays cello. And, I've been really lucky to be in the Catalyst Quartet for the last 5 seasons. Um, and I'm also a member of the conductorless ensemble Orpheus Chamber Orchestra and currently serving as its artistic director.
So the Catalyst Quartet, I guess, takes up a fair amount of your time, but it sounds like you have other musical pursuits as well.
Yes, I am very lucky to have a very diverse career as a musician. So I'm very happy about it.
Karla, could I ask the same sort of biographical sketch from you?
Sure. Yes. Like Abby mentioned, I also come from a musical family. My father's a violinist and my mom is a flutist. My mom was an educator and a music educator as well. My father performed and taught a lot as well. I actually grew up in Puerto Rico. And when I was 12 years old, we moved to California, actually to the Bay Area. So not too far away from where you are. And a big part of my life is the Catalyst Quartet, but I also am on the violin faculty at the Longy School of Music in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
So how much time do you spend with the Catalyst Quartet during the course of an average year? Is it several months?
It's hard to say because it varies, but I would say, I mean, it's a lot. Right now, we're kind of in the middle of another kind of big touring moment. So we will be together basically through the beginning of April. And then, there's maybe like a week or so. And then we have another tour that's about 2 weeks long. So it varies, you know. So I would say, I don't know, 80% of the year, 70% of the year. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, it definitely feels like we're together all the time.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's definitely a very tight knit group. And, we spend a lot of our free time together as well as also our professional time together. I would say, it feels like we're together all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It seems as though the Catalyst Quartet has created a very specific sort of identity for itself. Looking at your programs from past years, we'll occasionally see the Ravel, we'll see the Beethoven, things like that. But you focus a lot on contemporary music and on underrepresented musical voices. Is that fair to say?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. I think first and foremost, our main goal is to tell a story, to have a through line in our performances. And then, of course, we have deep in our core, in our ethos, we do believe in giving that message in the most diverse way possible. And that doesn't just mean underrepresented music, that means music from all kinds of genres, from all kinds of places. And so we try to find the most impactful way of doing that. And one thing that I love about what we do is that oftentimes people will come to a concert of ours, because they want to hear the Beethoven, but they will come away being like, wow, Jessie Montgomery is so wonderful. So, that I think is kind of unique in the way that we program.
I have noticed a wide range of collaborators that you've worked with over the years and literally from all over the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think like with our programming, we also like to engage with a lot of different kinds of artists. The quartet actually won its Grammy on an album with the jazz singer Cecile McLaurin-Salvant.
Right.
And, a collaboration like that. I mean, we are a very open-minded ensemble. We really enjoy seeing where we have commonality across different genres and with different types of artists. Most recently, we have done a project with the costume designer and performer Machine Dazzle, with our own arrangement of the Bach Goldberg variations. And we collaborate with dancers. And, you know, I think we really like to explore the ways in which music can be represented and augmented beyond just a standard performance, which we do a lot of and we love doing. But it's nice to sort of stretch yourself and see what other perspective you can gain from inviting somebody from a completely different background into the mix.
I assume that this is something that you can't really do like on the spur of the moment, that you have the idea and then the idea comes to fruition some number of months or even a couple of years out. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Pretty much everything that we do that is project based, whether it's a collaboration or an album, usually comes from many actually more like years of planning. So we have to be always really thinking ahead and having a long trajectory for things. And oftentimes things take longer than we expect.
That always seems to be the way in the arts.
Mm-hmm.
One of your recent things that you are doing, actually, including this particular concert that we're discussing, is a collaboration with clarinetist Todd Palmer. Tell us how you met Todd and how you hooked up with him.
Yeah, well, Todd is a good friend of the quartet. I mean, I think we've all worked with him separately. And when we decided to program this piece, we thought, who better than the clarinetist that actually premiered it? And so we were so excited that Todd was available and interested in coming on this tour with us around sort of Northern California. And he's just such a joy to work with and such an incredibly talented artist. You know, and most importantly, he really shares similar values that we do in the Catalyst Quartet. And that's something that's also really important when we're thinking about a collaborator, is not only are they a great player, but do we have similar goals and aspirations as well?
Yeah, the piece you alluded to, David Bruce's Gumboots, was actually written for and premiered by Todd Palmer back in, I think, 2008, if I remember correctly. Is this the Catalyst Quartet's first engagement with that piece?
Yes.
Yes.
It is. And we're very excited. I mean, it's definitely a piece that is in line with sort of what Karla was talking about in terms of our ethos. It really is one that has a very strong perspective, strong narrative. And it's not, you know, when you think of clarinet quintet, you think, you know, oh, the Mozart clarinet quintet, Brahms clarinet, you know, the really core repertoire. And I think it's really exciting to see how that standard formation can be expanded and turned into something different and sort of utilized in such a way, especially since also the clarinet is an instrument that exists in multiple genres. It is a very, you know, really set in classical, but it's also a very popular jazz instrument. And right. I think exactly. So, you know, what David Bruce does is he really sort of brings that in, and he doesn't limit or box the clarinet into being, and same with the string quartet, into only being in their classical form.
Yeah, not only is it sort of multi-genre, but it's also very, can I say, audience-friendly, accessible music as well.
Yeah, I think people will find a lot of familiarity in sort of the rhythmic roots of the piece and sort of the themes in the piece as well. Will definitely spark some familiarity for them.
The other piece with which you'll be collaborating with Todd Palmer is a piece that you as the Catalyst Quartet have a long association with. In fact, you made a renowned recording of the piece with the great Anthony McGill, and that's the Clarinet Quintet by Samuel Coleridge Taylor. And you were mentioning the quintets by Mozart and Brahms, which are sort of standard clarinet quintets. Just about anybody, it seems like, who listens to Samuel Coleridge Taylor's clarinet quintet wonders to themselves, as I have, why isn't this part of the standard repertoire? Because it's a substantial work and a really, really good one, despite the fact he was like 19 when he wrote it.
Exactly. You know, that is exactly why we started the project, which includes this recording, the Uncovered project. over many, many years, we kept hearing these incredible works, these works that were astonishingly good. And we kept asking ourselves, well, why isn't this played more? Why isn't that played more? And, it's just one of these things. Some things fall out of fashion, and sometimes mainly because there aren't enough reference recordings, or, it doesn't seem like an accessible thing for somebody to sit down and read, because there isn't a tradition in that specific language of that composer. And so, we set out in 2018 to do this project, and the first album is all Samuel Coleridge Taylor. And you'll listen to that and you'll ask yourself that question, not just for the clarinet quintet, but the piano quintet and the fantasy pieces as well. It's really beautiful, beautiful music.
Yeah, that Uncovered series is extended to 3 albums now, right?
Yes.
Is there a 4th in the works?
Yes, there is. We are going to be recording the end of this album. So we did part of it last year, and then this summer. And that is all dedicated to Joseph Boulogne, Chevalier de Saint-Georges. So that's 18 string quartets. And we're really excited about it. It's a big load. It's a heavy lift. So this one took us a little bit longer, partially because it's that load, and also because I had a baby in between. So
yeah, life does intrude in that way sometimes.
Yeah. But yes, that volume is anticipated for February of 2026.
Sometimes it seems like with some of this music, at least, it's a practical problem of just not having access to like sheet music and stuff. Sometimes you have to really search far and wide just to track down the music. And then when you find it, it's an old edition that isn't in all that great a shape and requires a lot of editorial work and so on. It's great when you can find really good quality music to be able to bring the actual sounds of the music to the public.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest sort of unpredicted challenges of this project in general. Speaking about these quartets by Joseph Boulogne, we were actually just doing a quartet retreat where we were sort of sitting together for many, many hours, just trying to determine, are these the right notes? Are we looking at like what's accurate? Like what are going to have to come from us as artistic decisions, but also maintain the integrity of the composer and all that stuff. And, we've faced that problem with almost every composer that we've included in the Uncovered project, because, the music gets lost, it gets passed down, it gets buried in a library somewhere. And, a lot of what comes from where a lot of editing comes from for good editions is performance tradition.
Right.
And so without that, you haven't had these layers of performances and also research for people to sort of determine what is authentically the composer's, intention or wants or desires. So we kind of joke that we have a side gig as sort of archaeologists, sort of digging for that information.
The other piece that you're featuring on the program provides a different set of challenges, and that is the Angel Suite or Angel Suite by Astor Piazzolla. And I wanted to ask, just to start with, does that exist in sheet music form? Because I know we're going to be hearing it in your own arrangement for string quartet, but when you were making that arrangement, were you able to work from sheet music, or were you listening to Astor Piazzolla's own recordings with his group? How did that process work?
Yes, that actually comes directly from his. Really, the inspiration is from his Montreal. If you watch the video, the Montreal Jazz Festival. It's on YouTube. It's phenomenal. And so that was the inspiration for that arrangement. There was no sheet music. I think there are some versions out there, but we just did that based on what we had heard. And a lot of the people in his band, I mean, he's really inspiring as well, but like I personally I adore his violinists. The the way that he plays and manipulates sound. And, everybody in that band is really special. And that was part of it too. So we wanted to create this string quartet version, one that's a little bit different, that gives everybody a moment to shine and to do something cool. So you're going to see a lot of really interesting effects. You're going to hear everybody have moments of a little bit of improv. And it's just a really powerful, beautiful work.
I am very curious to see how you translate the sound of, say, the bandoneon or the guitar to a string quartet kind of setting, because the tone colors, I guess you can evoke those tone colors, but they are pretty different.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we really prioritized in the arrangement is we wanted to maintain the fact that this is a style of performing that is very much left up to the moment. So we built in a lot of opportunity to have personal improvisation, but also, since it's a piece that really we play often, we've also grown to be able to have a lot of group improvisation with the piece as well. And, you're exactly right. Like, our aim is to not sound exactly like a replication of the ensemble, but to preserve the sound world and sort of, choices that we've made with certain effects, or the way that we choose to play our instruments definitely very much tries to emulate or evoke that sort of sound world, for sure.
And it's great music too. That's one thing I keep discovering about Astor Piazzolla. There is so much of the music, but it's so diverse. We're about to hear his Sinfonietta here in Reno, where I'm speaking, which is a piece that he wrote right before he went to study with Nadia Boulanger. But he'd been looking at a lot of Stravinsky and Bartok, and while there is a tango influence in it, it's a very serious-minded and sometimes very dissonant piece of music. And then on the other hand, not too long ago, I happened on an Argentinian film noir from the 1950s and was shocked to see that Astor Piazzolla had written the music for this film. Some of it sounded very tango-like. Some of it was straight dramatic movie music. The guy was incredibly diverse and really interesting, and lots of influences go into the mix with his music.
Yeah, and I think the Angel Suite is one in particular. I mean, I'll speak personally. Piazzolla is one of my favorite composers. I've always enjoyed his music. But what stands out to me about the Angel Suite is that is exactly what you said. It sort of encapsulates his entire diversity as a composer. And it's not just his, it's not just the sort of Argentinian tango music. Like, there is very much little nuggets of his other voices in there as well.
So what else is coming up in the way of Catalyst Quartet projects? You mentioned these tours that are happening right now and the recording project later on this year. Have any other fun plans in the works?
Right now, we're trying to just focus on the recording. We have some things that we can't really talk about, so you have to stay tuned. But yeah, the big one is getting this recording done.
Well, Karla and Abby, it's been a pleasure meeting you virtually, and I look forward to the concert very much. We're very glad to be having you at Lake Tahoe. Thanks so much for speaking with me today.
Thanks so much, Chris. Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.